Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. So we look at the storylines for the next 5 days. We'll be watching this corridor here across central portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then central and southern Manitoba for the most active corridor of thunderstorm activity. Perhaps portions of southern Saskatchewan tapping into that, but looking drier overall across southern Alberta and then southwestern portions of Saskatchewan as we head through the next 5 days. Also going to be looking at a region of strong to severe thunderstorms across parts of southern Saskatchewan into southern and central Manitoba, perhaps far western Ontario, looking at Saturday and Sunday. And then strong onshore flow keeping things active and stormy, unsettled over on the western coast. So you look at a snapshot view here, week 1 and week 2 precipitation anomalies kind of highlights it well, looking at this corridor across central portions of Alberta and Saskatchewan, getting into southern Manitoba, perhaps southeastern Saskatchewan, tapping into some of the more active precipitation here with these clusters of thunderstorms with the very strong jet stream support in the area. The week 2 forecast, not much change, still keeping that corridor here across northern and central Alberta into central Saskatchewan and then central and southern Manitoba, with the southern portions of Alberta and Saskatchewan remaining drier overall, or at least closer to average. Looking at the next 10 days of temperatures here, we will remain on the warm side across a big chunk of the Canadian prairie here over the next 5 days, but cooling off, especially in western portions as we look at the July 18th through the 22nd time period. And that's going to be because we'll be watching for the development of a rather large low pressure system that could bring some heavier rain to parts of the Canadian prairie as we get into the later part of next week. Taking a look at the jet stream then, just looping this out for the next week or so, we continue to see the ridge over the central United States, keeping things hot and dry in that area. Let me go ahead and stop and we'll go through time here and I'll point out a couple of things. We head into the first part of the weekend now, getting into Saturday and Sunday. This is the storm system, the upper level wave that's going to be responsible for the severe weather across, again, southern Manitoba, central Manitoba, and then parts of southern and southeastern Saskatchewan. It's going to be this strong patch of upper level winds, this short wave right here, kind of a very flatter trough. You don't see the big defined U shape here. You just see this patch of stronger upper level winds coming in from Montana and into southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Again, that's the upper level support that's going to be provided for the potential severe weather event Saturday and Sunday. This quickly pushes off to the east, and we keep upper level support kind of generally in the area through the early to mid part of next week, keeping at least isolated thunderstorms in the forecast in some areas here. But as we get into the late part of next week, here comes the next one. This is another, you see the patch of very strong jet stream winds. Right now the European model has this punching into southern Alberta, into southern Saskatchewan, as we get into the next Friday time period. So again, kind of watching 2 major storm systems here, one this weekend and then would potentially toward the end of next week bringing some severe weather and organized thunderstorm activity into parts of the Canadian prairies. Looping out the precipitation forecast, then we'll go ahead and we'll click through time with this one as well and just kind of show you the overall pattern. We're watching a frontal boundary slowly sink into the area here to start off the weekend, so perhaps isolated light showers in northern and central portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba here Friday and Saturday. An isolated strong storm certainly possible here in advance of that storm system in southern Saskatchewan late in the day on Saturday, and then getting into southern portions of Manitoba overnight into Sunday morning. So perhaps an early preview of the severe weather event here late Saturday, early Sunday across southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba. But it's really as we get into Sunday afternoon and evening. Here you see it, the more widespread, the more organized thunderstorm activity across parts of southern Saskatchewan and southern and central Manitoba. So heads up, especially Sunday, but a little bit here later Saturday into early Sunday, but then especially Saturday or Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and Sunday night for the potential for severe thunderstorms, primarily across southern Saskatchewan into southern and central Manitoba. Now this system quickly makes its way east here as we get into now Monday and then Tuesday. We're keeping isolated rain chances in the forecast here early next week. Here you see very, very isolated rain chances possible here Tuesday. And then again during the afternoon here on Wednesday, we've got a summer-like air mass in the area here, so still seeing the potential for thunderstorms popping up. But as we get into the late part of next week now, getting into Thursday and Friday, starting to see a more organized area of low pressure setting up over the Canadian prairies. And I won't hammer in on the specifics of this, but I'm just letting you know that it's out there as we get into the late part of next week, perhaps seeing a more well-defined storm system across parts of the Canadian prairies. But right now, the big newsmaker going to be the potential for severe weather as early as Saturday, but more likely on Sunday across southern and eastern portions of the Canadian prairie. We'll look at the instability forecast. This is CAPE, the fuel that our thunderstorms draw their energy from. And as we look at the forecast here for Saturday evening, seeing at least doable levels of instability here for an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm across southern Saskatchewan and maybe southern Manitoba. But then really check out the difference here when we get into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Now we're talking about values up on the top end of the scale. This is very strong, if not some extreme instability in some areas with the strong upper level support of that jet stream wave, of that storm system. Really watch out Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, southeastern, southern Saskatchewan, and then southern and central Manitoba for the potential for severe thunderstorms producing large hail, damaging wind, and a few tornadoes going to be possible here, I think, especially on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening in southern Manitoba. So watch out for this one. It's certainly the big newsmaker. You see the instability get kicked off to the east then with the passage of that storm system, but still keeping more meager levels down near the bottom of the threshold here, still keeping the potential for some isolated showers and thunderstorms in the forecast here as we get into the middle part of the week. But then as our next storm system comes in here Tuesday into Friday of next week, seeing instability levels return to more severe levels in advance of that next upper level wave. So we'll get into specifics here with our forecasts next week, but potentially talking severe weather again across the Canadian prairies late next week. But really just want to focus in on the weekend at this point. Total accumulated forecast precipitation here, just looping it out through the end of the week. You really see the corridor here, central and northern Alberta, and then getting it on over here towards much of Manitoba, and then perhaps southern portions of Saskatchewan picking up on some of that activity as well, with drier conditions expected across southern Manitoba into southwestern Saskatchewan. We'll take a closer look here, loop the precipitation out here, and you see it's kind of a uniform accumulation. And what I mean by that, not so much uniform, but a constant accumulation. So we're seeing the chances for light showers and thunderstorms kind of linger almost every day, but it's not a significant rainfall. It's not a really heavy rainfall. Unless you want to head well off towards the north, the northern border of Alberta there. But also notice, probably the bigger message here, remaining dry across southern Alberta, getting into southwestern Saskatchewan, where thunderstorms are going to be avoiding the area for the most part. The high temperatures for the next 5 days, warmest off towards the south, upper 20s in southern Alberta, mid 20s elsewhere. Same story for the day on Saturday and Sunday. Getting into Monday, cooling off slightly. Tuesday, a bit cooler as well, high temperatures in the upper teens. Pivoting over off to the east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba, we'll do the same thing, just let this thing play out, and you see kind of a smattering of precipitation there. Kind of, the weather model is not going to pick up on this exactly right, just because this model doesn't handle individual thunderstorms well, but you can see that especially northern and central Saskatchewan, and then much of Manitoba, going to be seeing the opportunities for of thunderstorms here as we head through the next week, with the best chance being Saturday and Sunday, light to isolated thunderstorms possible early to midweek, with then a return of thunderstorms as we get into the late part of next week. Looking at the high temperature forecast then, mid to upper 20s for the day on Friday. Very warm, especially in advance of that storm system here Saturday, upper 20s to near 30 degrees. And then the storm system making its way in here. You see the warm front would be kind of in this area. Very warm and unstable. This is the prime severe weather area then on Sunday is going to be along and south of this line. So southern and southeastern Saskatchewan getting into central and southern Manitoba. That's where that atmosphere is going to be very primed and ready for explosive thunderstorm development. On the backside of the front, we cool off slightly for the day on Monday and then Tuesday, but still keeping very summer-like air mass in the area with high temperatures in the mid-20s. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of our next 1 to 2 weeks in the Monday morning ag forecast video. And I'll have your next Canadian regional forecast for you right here midday on Tuesday. Now, if you want to put this here at the very end, if you're still paying attention on the end screen here, if you do experience any severe weather in parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba here over the weekend, definitely find me on Twitter there. I'd be at SkyDrama, or you can email me, andrew.pritchard@Nutrien Ag Solutions. I'm always looking for imagery from these thunderstorms that I could potentially share in some of our later videos. Have a great day and have a wonderful weekend.